It's 100 degrees. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling his tea, spilling and sipping his tea, spilling and sipping his tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your under degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degrees, shining bright. Set the stage, Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and spilling this tea, spilling and spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea. It's 100 degrees. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degrees, shining bright. Set the stage, Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling and spilling this tea, spilling and spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea.
What's up, Diamond Gang? I'm back like I never left. Listen, I was supposed to be taking the night off. Y'all know that, right? But you know I could not resist. I had to watch. And I mean, everybody is so upset that Donald Trump tacoed. But I will say this, and I hope the person that put this in the chat and that agreed with me, Israel will not stop. Trump don't know how to get a hold of BB. BB is basically, he got Trump by the strings. Okay. So, thank you. What, the thumbnail? Let me drop down a little bit so y'all can see it. Or what? Me. But yeah, somebody said it in the chat yesterday. And yeah, Israel sparked it right back up. The ceasefire is collapsing. The straits is back closed again. Yeah, it's a mess, Diamond Gang. So if you new here, welcome. Shouts out to my subscribers and my mods. Without any further ado, I'm gonna pull up my screen and we're gonna get into this. This is not gonna be a super long live. Hold on, Diamond Gang. Let's go.
We have some big news this morning. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, well, everyone's upset about Donald.
Now, really quick, if you new here, I always start where we left off. So this is early this morning, and then we'll work our way up to where we at right now in real time with what's going on with this ceasefire agreement.
Trump's supposed deal with Iran, because we're learning more and more about the details of the deal, and it looks as though Iran has gotten almost everything it wanted. It got so bad that this morning and overnight, Lindsey Graham, one of the chief architects of the war, is now saying, you know what? The Senate should review and approve any deal from Donald Trump. No, we shouldn't vote to bring America into war, but we should approve any deal that Trump executes with Iran. That's what Lindsey Graham is saying. Trump this morning is saying,
listen, Diamond Gang, they are so mad that now they want to make it that any foreign agreement Congress will now have to review. But they didn't want Congress to review to approve this war, right? But now, because they feel like Trump is so deranged that he made this pre-agreement with them, now they want Congress to take a look. Please, they need to stop.
That the United States may run the Strait of Hormuz with Iran in a form of a joint venture. That's a worse position than the United States had before the war began. And a lot of experts are pointing out that Donald Trump last night really lost in terms of the so-called deal that he executed with Iran. Iran got almost everything it wanted. And you have conservatives, Democrats, independents who are saying, we're glad today that there were no war crimes committed, but we're not glad that the president of the United States essentially handed over the keys to Iran in a lot of ways. I'll have more updates for you soon. Follow along for all the news you need to know about.
An expert called Iran's 10-point proposal a wish list for the regime, among other things.
Did y'all hear that? A wish list for the regime, and it is. Their 10-point plan is, I believe, do they deserve some help? Absolutely. But the demands, it's out of pocket. Let's go, Diamond Gang.
It would assert Iranian control over the Strait of Hormuz. It would end international sanctions.
They didn't have control of the straits to begin with, so why give it to them now?
Compensation for damages they'd get, the removal of U.S. forces from the region, and in some versions, a recognition of its right to enrich uranium. So is that, as the president calls it, quote, a workable basis on which to negotiate?
Well, it's only a basis, Chris, if the subjects it raises, the issues it raises, then form the centerpiece of a negotiation. Look, you're going to have to deal with the question of the strait, and Iran's going to have a larger role going forward, but there's also got to be limits on that role, and others have to have a say in the governance of the strait. That's an
Diamond Gang, this lasted all of 5 freaking minutes. Israel hit close to 100 targets. I knew he wasn't going to be able to. This is so sad. And then they say they they are chalking it up right now. JD Vance and them this was just a mistake. Like, stop it. Stop it.
Immediate issue. The nuclear program, the question is, can you negotiate a new agreement that places a ceiling on Iran's capabilities with adequate inspections? So we're comfortable with it. We're going to have to compromise if we want a negotiated agreement. There's all the other things Iran does that give us heartburn, and also the Israelis heartburn, from support for proxies to maintaining ballistic missiles and the like. So this is an awfully complicated negotiation. The two sides are far apart. I would simply say, if we can't reach a formal agreement, I don't think the alternative is going back to war, Chris. It's more of a almost no war, no peace situation in the region, and that will be dangerous and it will discourage investment. And I would simply say, to answer the question you asked, Peter, let me just...
What I'm hoping is that Trump grows some BALLS and tell Bibi no. He needs to go ahead and tell Bibi no.
Just be blunt here. Was this a complete victory? Are we better off than we were before this war? I would think the simple answer is no. We are worse off. And depending upon the details of what's negotiated, we'll find out how much worse off. But we shouldn't kid ourselves. Whatever we may have accomplished in the narrow battlefield sense, I believe we have lost in the strategic sense in the region and in the world.
If Iran has the Strait permanently now, what an error, what a miscalculation this entire endeavor was. I mean, listen, who knows what's going on? Donald Trump lied.
Do me a favor, Diamond Gang, as you come in, just please hit the like. I'm not asking for, I say this every live stream. I'm not asking for a Cash App, Super Chat, Super Sticker, although I would appreciate it. But just the like is free. Thank you.
It's every single day. Clearly, he's not telling the truth. But if you accept even part of the Iranian statement, Donald Trump has agreed to give Iran control of the Strait of Hormuz. That is extraordinary. If you go deeper into the statement from the Iranian National Security Council, they claim that Trump has also agreed to Iran's right to enrichment.
Here's the deal, okay? Now they're at a point where Trump is offering help, okay, from our military for them to retrieve it, okay? So that's where we're at right now.
Suspend all sanctions against Iran and to allow Iran to keep their missile program, their drone program, and their nuclear program. Now, who knows if any of that is true, but if at the very least this agreement gives...
Listen, somebody's lying. Trump is coming out here saying that Iran is lying, and a lot of people are saying that the U.S. is lying. When Pakistan put that agreement through, it was for all. It was for all. And immediately, Israel started striking again.
Gives Iran the right to control the Strait, that is cataclysmic for the world. And it is just stunning that that's where we have gotten to, that Donald Trump took a military action that has apparently, at least for the time being, given Iran control over a critical waterway that they did not have control over.
And if you're just coming in, the Straits is back closed again, closed for business.
Before the war began. So it just doesn't sound like there's actually an agreement, because what Trump is saying is totally different than what the Iranians are saying. But if Iran has the Strait permanently now, what an error, what a miscalculation this entire endeavor was.
What do you make of this ceasefire deal between President?
Now, I like what this guy said. I like his rationale, because both sides are claiming victory right now. And yeah.
Trump and the leadership in Tehran.
Both sides can claim victory. Both sides, in fact, Iran and the United States were looking for an off-ramp. And it appears that this ceasefire agreement temporarily gives them that off-ramp. Tehran is claiming victory by having simply stood up to the United States and to Israel, two nuclear powers. And the United States can now say that we threatened them and they backed out.
When you look at the U.S. 15-point plan compared to the Iranian 10-point plan, it does look like these are their most maximalist positions. but you think there is common ground here.
There is. For example, in the 15-point plan, the president had said the United States could lift sanctions on Iran. That's one of the primary demands of the Iranians. These are two powers that need each other, but over the course of the last 4 decades, 5 decades, in fact, there's been a lot of animosity between them.
I agree with him. I really do.
And this could very well be an opportunity for a president who's famously transactional and for an Islamic Republic that is desperately in need of global engagement.
Pakistan played a role as mediator between Tehran and Washington. How important was Pakistan in us getting to this point?
Extremely important, because the traditional mediators, namely Oman and Qatar, had either been attacked by Iran or had been somehow party to the conflict. So Pakistan was perfectly positioned to play the role of a mediator.
Many of the pressing problems
Pakistan did their thing. They made it happen. Unfortunately, it went downhill within hours.
facing Iran have only gotten that much worse. If this ceasefire holds and leads to some sort of durable agreement, how does the current Iranian leadership emerge from this?
No doubt stronger. It could strengthen the hands of Mojtaba Khamenei, who we know very little about, but who is rumored to be extremely conservative. And so moving forward, we don't really know what politics we will see in Iran. But at least in the short run, we're very likely to see greater social freedoms and less restrictions.
All right, so let's take a look at the 10-point
Diamond Gang, if we could get Israel on board, it's going to be super hard, but this is something that needs to be done. If not, this is going to be ongoing for a while. Let's go.
peace plan laid out by Iran that President Trump last night said is the basis for negotiations. This is according to Press TV, an official channel of the Iranian regime. 1, a complete halt to aggression against Iran. 2, continued Iranian control over the Strait of Hormuz and coordination of passage through it with Iran. 3, Iran will be able to enrich uranium. 4, removal of all primary sanctions. 5, removal of all secondary sanctions. 6, annulment of all UN Security Council.
Trump was so backed into the corner last night. He was scared of impeachment. He was scared of the 25th Amendment. He just wanted out and he agreed.
Resolutions against Iran. 7, annulment of all resolutions by the Board of Governors of the IAEA against Iran. 8, payment of compensation to Iran. 9, withdrawal of U.S. combat forces from the region. And 10, cessation of fighting on all fronts, including against the Islamic resistance in Lebanon. So we talked about this in a previous video. That is a wish list from the Islamic regime. This is the kind of thing that in a previous video, we said that looks like the starting point for negotiations. Like you come out with the maximalist demands, and then it gets walked back from there. We don't know what has actually been agreed upon or the direction this is taking, but that is the 10-point plan according to Iran. And according to President Trump yesterday, that is, let me make sure I phrase this correctly. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis from which to negotiate. That seems to be the 10-point plan he's talking about.
In Iran,
this is how they celebrated Diamond Gang last night. Let's get into it.
The celebration started immediately. Regime supporters gloating over what they see as a clear victory. State television put it this way. The enemy, that is the U.S. and Israel, has suffered an undeniable, historic, and crushing defeat. But along with the triumphalism, there's skepticism. Everyone is grateful for calm, said this man, but the party we're talking to is not trustworthy at all.
That part, Israel is not trustworthy at all. That's who they're talking about.
In other words, there's widespread fear that the U.S. will just use the ceasefire to regroup.
I don't think that they will. Like I said, we did okay. It was Israel who sparked it back up.
And attack again. Even after the announcement, Israel's defense system intercepted at least 2 inbound Iranian missiles, Iran's parting shot after more than 5 weeks of war. A war that Israel's still fighting in Lebanon against the Iranian proxy militia Hezbollah. Overnight, its warplanes attacked a cafe in the city of Sidon. 8 people died. Even though the
You know what makes me so upset? That they made this excuse for Bibi today at this press conference as just a mistake. This is not just a mistake. These are people, their lives.
Pakistani brokers of the ceasefire explicitly said it would cover Israel's offensive in Lebanon. The Israeli Prime Minister's office this morning has said it.
Now, this is the part. This is what started it, okay? Israel was supposed to be a part of this, and then they claimed that they were not.
In the city of Sidon, 8 people died. Even though the Pakistani brokers of the ceasefire explicitly said it would cover Israel's offensive in Lebanon, the Israeli Prime Minister's office this morning has said it does not.
President Trump backing off his.
This is what I'm saying. 2 leaders, 2 different objectives, and not on the same page, okay? Bibi and Trump, 2 different paths they were going on in this war, and not on the same page. And this is why this is happening now.
Threat to wipe out a whole civilization, agreeing to suspend attacks on Iran for 2 weeks once the country reopens the Strait of Hormuz. Just 90 minutes before his self-imposed deadline, the president writing on social media, this will be a double-sided ceasefire, saying we received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it's a workable basis on which to negotiate. Iran's foreign minister responding, saying their military will allow the massive backup of tankers in the critical strait to pass and finally deliver oil to the rest of the world. The White House says the ceasefire.
If you're just coming in, welcome, welcome, welcome. Can you please hit the like? That's all I want is a simple like. Please and thank you. Welcome to the channel.
Fire won't go into effect until Iran reopens the strait, and it's unclear when that will happen. The president has been under immense pressure to find an off-ramp in the final hours before his deadline, delivering an ominous warning that a whole civilization will die if Iran does not make a deal. That extraordinary threat sent shockwaves around the world and prompted this rebuke by the first American pope.
Attacks on civilian infrastructure is against international law, but that it is also a sign of the hatred, the division, the destruction the human being is capable of.
Before the deal was reached, Republicans were largely silent on the president's threat, including House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Minority Leader John Thune. But a handful of GOP lawmakers did speak out. Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski saying the president's threat cannot be excused away as an attempt to get.
And I'm going to tell you guys right now, if he think because they put this temporary ceasefire together that they're still not going to be on his ASS, they are. They're not going to forget what he said.
Gain leverage in negotiations with Iran. And Republican Senator Ron Johnson, a staunch Trump supporter, signaling the president went too far.
I do not want to see us start blowing up civilian infrastructure. I do not want to see that. We are not at war with the Iranian people. You know, we are trying to liberate them.
This morning, news of the ceasefire being greeted with cautious optimism. But Democrats argue it's not enough.
Well, a 2-week ceasefire is insufficient. We need a permanent end to Donald Trump.
The Democrats are ahead of the game right now. I'm just letting you guys know they're ahead of the game.
Reckless war of choice.
So this morning, Pope Leo is welcoming the news of a ceasefire. The president says the United States will be helping with the traffic buildup in the Strait of Hormuz, but it's unclear what exactly that will look like. And just moments ago, the vice president speaking, saying that the ceasefire deal is in fact fragile as those negotiations continue, Robin.
Very fragile because, again, if you're just coming in, the straits is back closed again.
We have some news right now as Donald Trump declares world peace. This is what Lebanon looks like this morning following strikes by Israel.
You see what Israel did? You see what Bibi did? I told you guys last night, he got to get a hold of this man in order for anything to work. We said last night, someone said in the chat,
Despite Trump's claim that the
Israel is going to spark it back up, and they did.
Middle East will soon be at peace, Israel continues to strike Lebanon. As they say, Lebanon is not part of the deal. But that's not all. This morning, a key east-west pipeline, according to the Financial Times, was struck in Saudi Arabia by drones. And overnight, Israel was struck by Iranian missiles, as well as other shooting happening in the Middle East and the Gulf region.
Let me tell you something. It literally lasted only 5 minutes. I mean, the war amped up. I mean, they were going back and forth, striking.
This ceasefire between the United States and Iran is so tenuous and it is so limited. It does not apply to the entire Middle East. And we're seeing the impacts of it this morning. Donald Trump is declaring that this is a time for world peace. That's what he said on Truth Social overnight. But the realities of it on the ground are anything but. And we may continue to see some strikes in the next several days as this peace deal is somewhat implemented. But the operations of Israel in Lebanon continue, and we're likely to see more strikes rather than less in parts of the Middle East right now. Spread the word, follow for more.
So they wanted us to come in, help them, and we're trying to get an off-ramp, and Bibi's not with it. He don't want to hear it.
All three countries involved in this war, the U.S., Iran, and Israel, have now signed off on this 2-week ceasefire, which was brokered with the help of Pakistani officials. Iran has agreed to temporarily reopen the crucial Strait of Hormuz, and all of this coming after.
Thank you guys for the likes. I appreciate it.
For an over-the-top presidential threat that alarmed many lawmakers here at home.
After nearly 40 days of all-out war, the military strikes in Iran have stopped. President Trump agreeing last night to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks, saying a long-term peace plan is very far along. Traveling in Hungary, Vice President J.D. Vance called it a fragile truce.
You have people who clearly want to come to the negotiating table and work with us to find a good deal. And then you have people who are lying about even the fragile.
They're on their way over there right now to talk to leaders of Iran. So I'm just praying it can work something out.
Truce that we've already struck.
The truce came just an hour and a half before Trump's 8 p.m. Eastern deadline for a deal, at which point he had vowed to begin targeting civilian infrastructure.
They're going to have no bridges. They're going to have no power plants.
As part of the ceasefire, Iran's foreign minister announced last night, for a period of 2 weeks, safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible.
And again, if you're just now coming in, at the last-ditch effort, Pakistan put something together and got everyone to agree. So, no, Iran wasn't begging, like Trump said. Pakistan put it together.
Coordination with Iran's armed forces. For the past 6 weeks, hundreds of oil tankers have been unable to enter the strait, sending oil and gas prices soaring worldwide. Yesterday, some Iranians formed human chains around power plants as Trump's threats intensified. At one point, he warned a whole civilization will die tonight, prompting more than 70 congressional Democrats to call for his impeachment or his removal.
And I'm going to tell you guys again, he think that because he made this move, that this will be all forgotten. I guarantee you it won't. I guarantee you it won't.
Via the 25th Amendment.
Threatening to eliminate a civilization is comparable to genocide. That's illegal, immoral.
Some Republicans also criticized Trump's language. Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska posted on X that it.
Diamond Gang, and I want you guys to hear, because I made sure to bring those clips along, what they had to say about Trump's comments. I want you guys to hear it. They talked and danced all the way around it and found a reason to make it okay.
Directly endangers Americans, both abroad and at home. Even the Pope weighed in on Trump's threats without using Trump's name.
Attacks on civilian infrastructure is against international law, but that it is also a sign of the hatred.
Listen, Diamond Gang, the Pentagon threatened Christians today. Yeah, I have that clip too.
division, the destruction the human being is capable of.
Now that a ceasefire is in place, we move to the hard part, hammering out a long-term peace agreement that addresses Iran's nuclear plans, its funding of terrorism, and so on. And Iran has its own demands, including a new $2 million fee for ships to pass through the strait.
Now that right there, I guarantee you they're not going to get that. And if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember what law it is. They are not permitted to charge for those ships to go through.
If the U.S. and Iran can't reach a deal on all of this, there is always the possibility, Nora, that this war could resume.
Iran has said that safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible in coordination with Iran's armed forces and, quote, technical limitations. What do you believe that means? And then we've also heard reports that Iran has continued striking targets well into this morning. At what point are we beyond a grace period? Are we giving them a grace period? Is there a miscommunication there? What's going on with that?
What we know is that Iran is going to say a lot of things. A lot of people are going to say a lot of things, claim a lot of things. What has been agreed to, what's been stated, is the strait is open. Our military is watching. I'm sure their military is watching, but commerce will flow. And that's what you saw the markets react.
And again, they had the upper hand and they closed it. He's talking like they're running things. We're still not running things. You guys heard. We are in a worse position.
To is that reality. As far as shooting that, we were monitoring it last night in real time. Of course we are. Iran would be wise to find a way to get the carrier pigeon to their troops out in remote locations to know not to shoot any longer one-way attacks or missiles, because it takes time sometimes for ceasefire to take hold. We're watching it. We're prepared if necessary, but we hope and believe that it'll hold. Yes.
Hold on back here. Yesterday in the president's truth.
Let me say this. International law does not allow them to legally charge tolls just for passing through the straits. They're not supposed to do that.
Social, he threatened to wipe out a civilization. That statement elicited a huge response in America. If Iran did not come to the table and make a deal yesterday by the deadline, was the president really prepared to wipe out Iran?
So you figure they're charging $2 million, okay, to pass through. Not only that, we lifted sanctions. We put them in a nice position, Diamond Gang.
Entirely.
Like I said, we had a target set locked and loaded of infrastructure, bridges, power plants. Remember, this is a terror regime, the military regime.
And here he goes, still talking and still with this dumb rhetoric. Like yesterday morning, they were drawing up paperwork to impeach him. So why would you go on here saying the same BS? It makes no sense. They're not going to forget this either.
Use all of these things for dual use to fund their military, to fund their terror campaigns. We had a lot of legitimate targets. They knew exactly the scope of.
Diamond Gang, you hear how he said dual use? Because if it's dual use, military and civilian, then it wouldn't be considered. They can bomb it. But the lies, that's all I'm saying.
What we were capable of. We hit some military targets on Karg, which is a bit of a signal. They can't defend it. And so Iran ultimately understood their ability, their future to produce, to generate power, to fuel their terrorist regime was in our hands, was in President Trump's hands. That's why they came to the table. He ultimately said, we can take it all from you.
You hear him bragging? Bragging for what? We put them in a nice position.
Your ability to export energy will be taken away. And the United States military has the ability to strike those things with impunity. That type of threat is what brought them to the place where they effectively say, hey, okay, we want to cut this deal.
That is not true. Again, Pakistan brokered that. I don't know why they get up there with this.
Donald Trump's ceasefire with Iran appears to be on the verge of collapse as missiles are still flying and Iran appears ready to back out. So this was Lebanon this morning after being attacked by what is apparently an Israeli airstrike. And this is obviously very frustrating for Iran because they're aligned with Hezbollah in Lebanon. And today, Saudi Arabia's oil pipeline to the Red Sea was attacked by a drone from Iran. So missiles are still very much flying. And Donald Trump was actually asked about Lebanon still being hit by journalist Liz Landers, who works for PBS, and his response was not encouraging. She asked about Lebanon still being hit, and he said, yeah, they were not included in the deal. I asked why.
Bingo. He said they were not included in the deal. Last night they were. Last night they were. And again, they made up some poor, sorry excuse for Bibi, for Israel. Diamond Gang, I got over 300 people in the room with 42 likes. Can you please hit the like? Please and thank you. I don't care about a super chat, super sticker, none of that. Just the like to keep me in the algorithm. It takes me a lot of time, and I tie up most of my day preparing these clips to tell a story while neglecting my other content. I do celebrity gossip. Thank you.
Not, and if they should have been, he said, because of Hezbollah, they were not included in the deal. That'll get taken care of too. It's all right. So does that mean more war? She asked if he's okay with the Israelis hitting them, and Trump said, it's part of the deal. Everyone knows that. No, everyone does not know that. And now Iran is threatening to back out of the talks altogether if Lebanon...
Diamond Gang, I showed y'all. Last night, Israel was in that deal. Here they go again, telling another lie.
Is not included in the deal, but the United States just said that they're not. So this is a major issue. It hasn't even been 24 hours yet, and Donald Trump's deal looks like it's about to collapse on itself.
All right, so we have a ceasefire in the Middle East. Maybe. It's between the United States and Iran. Israel may or may not be included. Not clear at this point. Also, the ceasefire may have already been violated a couple times, and it might...
And it was violated by Israel.
Might not actually go into effect until the fighting stops, which it hasn't. Chaos is coming out of the Middle East today. Last night, President Trump, just before his deadline, said, subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I've agreed to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. So notable there, the opening of the Strait of Hormuz was not and has not been an objective of the war laid out by the Pentagon or the White House at any point. That has taken center stage and now is the reason for the ceasefire. We will enter a ceasefire if you open the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the strait isn't open, right? So Iran today has put out quite a few messages saying that they control the Strait of Hormuz.
Now that right there, if you think that they were begging for a deal and they came to the table, do you believe that they would then close the straits again? This is what I'm saying. Why lie about it?
Their Navy put out a message to all ships in the Persian Gulf saying, quote, you must receive permission from the Iranian Navy for passing through the strait. If any vessel tries to transit without permission, you will be destroyed. So the Iranian toll booth is now set up through the Strait of Hormuz. And President referenced this 10-point Iranian peace plan as the basis for negotiation, saying this is the direction we're headed. We've already agreed on a lot. And this is kind of where we're starting from. Mark Levin, a radio host and strong advocate for the war and for the Trump administration, said, quote, these 10 points are an absolute disaster. And, you know, the 10 points.
Pay attention, Diamond Gang. We lined them, well, potentially are lining Israel up to, Iran up to win-win and make big money.
Allow Iran to continue enrichment of uranium. It has nothing about handing over their already enriched uranium. Doesn't discuss their missile program. Removes all sanctions against Iran. Compensates Iran for damages done. It's kind of an Iranian wish list, or an Iranian regime wish list. And according to President Trump's statement last night, that's what we're starting with. He said, quote, we received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis from which to negotiate. Almost all of the various points of contention have been agreed to between the United States and Iran, but a 2-week period will allow the agreement to be...
Diamond Gang, it's not going to be a 2-week period. This is going to be a long, drawn-out process.
finalized and consummated. One key note as this chaos plays out is both Iran and the United States are claiming overwhelming victory. So Secretary Hegseth at the Pentagon earlier today talked about Operation Epic Fury in the past tense, kind of a roll-up of everything we did in that war to win the fight against Iran, talking about how Iran has been defeated. Iran, for their part, is putting out notes saying that they overwhelmingly won this war. And what they point to is that they now control the Strait of Hormuz and the points.
And again, they never had control. So to give them control is ridiculous.
Being discussed are on their terms, like the removal of sanctions and stopping going after proxies, things like that. So look, today is going to be chaotic. There's going to be a lot of news coming in every direction. It's really not clear at all what the actual truth is at this point.
We have some major news. Iran just shut down the Strait of Hormuz again as Donald Trump's ceasefire agreement completely falls apart. So according to the Associated Press,
it didn't even last 24 hours, y'all. This is insane.
Citing Iranian state media, Iran closed the strait in response to Israeli attacks on Lebanon. And this is a major point of contention now. The United States and Israel says that Lebanon is not part of the deal. Iran says that Lebanon is part of the ceasefire deal. And so there's a huge disagreement on this apparent peace deal that Trump struck. And there have already been multiple reported violations of this ceasefire agreement, with Iran firing missiles at Israel, Israel firing missiles at Iran, and even more on the list. And the big problem with this situation is that Donald Trump said the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz is part of the ceasefire agreement. And so since Iran has shut it down again, that could mean that war could kick off at any moment again. So Trump's deal has essentially fallen apart, and it hasn't even been 24 hours yet. You know, this is the art of the deal.
Listen, I have faith that they're on their way over there, although they don't trust Kushner and the other guy. They don't trust them at all, but I have faith because Vance is going over there. He's been missing. He hasn't been really vocal. I don't think that he's on board with this at all. He may act like it for the public, but if you noticed, he hasn't been around.
Ladies and gents, the master negotiator who can't get anything done.
Trump has a major problem on his hands if he wants this ceasefire with Iran to last. Israel has not stopped bombing. They are bombing Lebanon. They are saying they are not included in the ceasefire, nor is Hezbollah. Iran says they are.
But this is what happens. Again, Iran has been planning for this for over 47 years. Trump, maybe a few months. He hooked up with Bibi, and they have two different objectives going in.
Are included in it. Now they are each trading strikes back and forth. Iran is striking the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, destroying more desalination plants. Israel struck a funeral at a cemetery in Lebanon.
Did y'all hear that? I'm going to bring it back. Israel struck a funeral, unaliving people. Unaliving people. And this is who Trump is bowing down to, who got him in all of this mess and possibly facing impeachment or the 25th Amendment, whichever ones come first.
Stopped bombing. They are bombing Lebanon. They are saying they are not included in the ceasefire, nor is Hezbollah. Iran says they are included in it. Now they are each trading strikes back and forth. Iran is striking the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, destroying more desalination plants. Israel struck a funeral at a cemetery in Lebanon, killing at least 10 people at a funeral. Guys, this has to end. Trump has to do something to get Israel in check, or this ceasefire is...
That part. He can't get Israel in check. He's not running the show when it comes to that. Bibi is known, again, to tell lies and draw other countries into war. And Trump was stupid enough to do it.
Not going to last through the day at this point. It is in very serious jeopardy. Iran, due to this, has now closed the Strait of Hormuz. No traffic is moving through. So very, very serious stuff happening here. Trump wants this to end, wants out of it. That is clear. Israel seems to want to keep it going. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you.
I bet you they didn't think of that last night when they were negotiating.
Back here for the 411.
We have some breaking news right now. Complete chaos over the alleged ceasefire between the United States and Iran. Iran says it is stopping any more ships from passing through the Strait of Hormuz, according to state TV, until Israel stops attacking Lebanon. But Trump says that Hezbollah and Lebanon were not part of the ceasefire. So complete just chaos right now. Pakistan's prime minister says that there are multiple.
And I bet you if that was made clear, Iran would have never agreed.
Violations of the ceasefire already. Here's what Trump said. Hezbollah is not included in that deal. It's part of separate skirmish. That's what he told PBS. Pakistan's prime minister says violations of the ceasefire have already been reported today. And Iran is saying, well, no, attacking Lebanon was part of the deal. And we're not going to allow any more ships through the Strait of Hormuz until Israel stops attacking Lebanon. You would have thought.
It's like, these people are very smart. This is insane. You say it last night, and then this morning you're calling out something different. These lies, they have to stop.
That this is something that they would have worked out before announcing this ceasefire, but I guess not. So spread the word. Things are going to change pretty quickly. I'll have another update for you soon. Follow along for all the news you need to know about.
Even a former Israeli prime minister is calling this whole ceasefire situation a complete disaster and slamming Netanyahu for not accomplishing any of his goals. Look at this. He says there has never been such a political disaster in all of our history. Israel wasn't even at the table when discussions were made concerning the core of its national security. The military carried out everything that was asked of it. The public demonstrated amazing resilience, but Netanyahu failed politically, failed strategically, and didn't meet a single one of his goals that he set. Here's how the ceasefire is going so far.
I don't know who called it out in my chat, but we said this last night. We said this was going to happen. There was a couple people that called it out in the chat last night.
Iran still has full control over the Strait of Hormuz and has allowed for safe passage of vessels only if they coordinate directly with Iranian armed forces. But major shipping lines are still extremely cautious, saying they need more maritime certainty before resuming regular traffic. Meanwhile, missiles and drones are still flying all over the place.
And by the way, the market done hella good today.
In Israel, Iran, Kuwait, the UAE, and Bahrain. It seems like the so-called ceasefire is just the United States trying to falsely declare victory and get out of the war because of how terribly everything has gone.
Breaking news. As you all know, a 2-week ceasefire was put in place yesterday between the U.S. and Iran. In line with that ceasefire, it was supposed to include all Arab states in the region.
All Arab states. That's what it was last night.
Along with a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon and the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Then this morning, Israel decided to pummel Lebanon, bombing it over 100 times in just...
Did y'all hear that? They bombed over 100 times. That is excessive.
10 minutes. They hit central Beirut, where there isn't a Hezbollah, along with South Lebanon, causing extensive damage in Sur and struck the Bekaa Valley. This was supposed to be a ceasefire, but this is what Israel does, sabotaging the peace deal at all costs. In response to Israel's attacks, Iran released a...
We said Bibi was going to sabotage, and he did. Can I please get a couple more likes, please, and thank you.
Statement saying the Strait of Hormuz is now closed again, and that they will withdraw from the ceasefire agreement if Israel continues to violate it. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi informed Pakistan, who moderated the peace agreement, that Iran will respond to these ceasefire violations. It's not looking good. Just when
at the end of the day, they have a right to defend. They do.
People were excited for some normalcy. This is what Israel does. In the video they released today, Israel is justifying these attacks in central Beirut, saying that Hezbollah have left their strongholds and are now in other areas of Beirut, so they are bombing.
This is why this was a war of choice. We had no business going in at all for Israel. We had no business, and Trump knew that. His son-in-law convinced him. Bibi convinced him to do this.
In those areas too. These are war crimes. Lebanon's Prime Minister Nawaf Salam seems to be sabotaging the deal as well by saying that no one has a right to negotiate a ceasefire for Lebanon except Lebanon itself. To me, this sounds like it's given legitimacy to Israel's war crimes of bombing Lebanon by saying that Iran's peace deal does not speak for us. This government is truly working for the enemy. How shameful. So far in Lebanon, just from today, hundreds are dead, more are wounded. This is not good. God be with the people of Lebanon, Palestine, and everyone who's living under the oppression of genocidal governments like Israel.
Israel struck more than 100 targets within 10 minutes, Diamond Gang, across Lebanon, the largest wave of strikes since the war began. So they went hard and excessive. But remember, if there were going to be boots on the ground, Israel said they weren't putting their soldiers out there. So it was going to be all on us. How do y'all feel about that? Please put it in the chat. Okay, well, where's the proof? Where's the proof at? Is it Ruby? You said Iran said they didn't have long-range missiles. That was a lie. Where's the proof? What have they struck long range? I just need to know. If you can tell me and put it in the chat. Okay? Thanks. These are the strikes. Hold on, Diamond Gang.
We have news right now. Iran is back to mocking Donald Trump and the Trump administration hours after a ceasefire went into effect, a ceasefire that is actually now hanging on to its last thread because there is a lot of confusion, right? The United States and Israel says Lebanon is not involved in the ceasefire. Iran says Lebanon.
Okay, a long-range missile is generally any missile that can strike targets beyond 3,000 kilometers. So you said 2,000. No, sweetie, it's 3,000, and they don't have it. That would be considered long range. Short range is 1,000. Medium range is 1,000 to 3,000. So they don't have that capability. Okay, let's go, Diamond Gang.
Is involved in the ceasefire, and it looks as though the ceasefire could fall apart any minute now. But now, this is what Iran is posting. Bow down to the Iranian civilization. That's the Iranian embassy in India. Here's the Iranian embassy in Tunis. Donald Trump walking down Air Force One with the massive white flag. And then the video continues showing him waving that white flag. Now, here's the deal, folks. This ceasefire, it would have made sense, right, to negotiate whether or not Lebanon was a part of the ceasefire. But now you have U.S. and Israel saying no, and Israel is bombing throughout Lebanon still. Iran is saying we're not going to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. We're not going to agree to any ceasefire discussions in Islamabad and Pakistan unless Lebanon is involved. No one knows what's happening. And here we are. The art of the deal.
Okay, you said let's break it down. That's over 5,500. That's what that is. Look it up. That's what I'm doing. Intercontinental is over 5,500. Again, where is the proof that they have it? That's all I'm saying. Break it. I mean, just put it in the chat. Put the proof in the chat. Okay. Intermediate range is 3,000 to 5,500. Intercontinental is 5,500. All right. I'll come back to the chat when I'm done. What did they strike that went that far? What did they strike? That's what I'm asking you.
Is happening in real life. Spread the word, follow for more.
Why is Lebanon excluded in the ceasefire deal? This is what we know. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office has expressed support for the United States' decision to suspend the strikes on Iran, but said the 2-week truce will not extend to Israel's ongoing military operations in Lebanon. Netanyahu's statement came after Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif announced that the US, Iran, and their allies have agreed to an immediate ceasefire everywhere, including Lebanon and elsewhere. Hours after the ceasefire was announced, airstrikes hit the Tyre and Nabatea areas in the south of the country, according to Lebanon's national news agency. The Israeli military told residents of the...
I'm showing that the farthest that they've struck was 2,000 km. That's about it. Hold on. Wait. You might be right. Almost. It's 3,800 to Diego Garcia. It's 3,800 to 4,000. The missile didn't reach its target, though. But we'll get back to that. We'll get back to it, Ruby. That's the longest range strike Iran has ever attempted, and it didn't reach. It didn't reach
southern suburbs of Beirut to flee, moments after announcing its forces are continuing combat and ground operations against Hezbollah. The Lebanese army has urged displaced families to delay their return home to the south of the country, warning of ongoing Israeli attacks. According to Lebanese authorities, Israeli attacks have killed more than 1,500 people since March the 2nd and displaced more than 1.2 million. The Israeli military has also launched an invasion of southern Lebanon and said it aims to seize more territory for what it calls a buffer zone. The latest escalation, decades-long conflict between Hezbollah and Israel.
Ruby, you done threw me off.
Israel erupted when the armed group fired rockets into Israel.
But I like it though. You keeping me on my toes.
In retaliation for the killing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and in response to Israeli attacks on Lebanon despite the ceasefire in the country that had been agreed in November 2024. In a statement posted online by the Lebanese presidency on Wednesday morning, the President Joseph Aoun said the country would continue efforts to ensure that the regional peace includes Lebanon in a stable and lasting manner.
I don't know what they're going to do about Lebanon, but I'm praying. All right, let's go, Diamond Gang. I'm back on track.
I have some news right now. Complete chaos has broken out in the Middle East regarding the ceasefire or lack thereof between Israel, Iran, United States, and Lebanon. Why? Because we're now learning, according to CNN, that there was likely no written document or ceasefire agreement between any of the parties.
So did y'all hear that? Of course, I knew that there was no written document because they put it together so quickly. Plus, not only that, they got to have conversations about it. So why would it be? You know what I mean? All right, let's go.
So no one knows what the actual agreement even is. Iran says it includes Lebanon. Israel says it doesn't. The United States, Caroline Leavitt, says it doesn't. Israel has launched some of its strongest attacks on Lebanon to date today, as Netanyahu says that this ceasefire is not the end, but merely a stop on this war. The United States, according to Reuters, is continuing to deploy American troops to the Middle East as we speak.
So we still have troops going over. Ruby, stay in here. Because after, I think I might drop the link if you want to come up. Let me know if you want to come up.
Speak. And Caroline Leavitt today at her White House press conference couldn't even answer who controls the Strait of Hormuz. Right now, it's completely closed, as I reported earlier. Why? Because Israel won't stop bombing Lebanon. And so you have a complete mess. I don't know if...
All opinions are respected here. Sorry, I'm just the voice of logic. Marie, you're talking to somebody else. All opinions are respected here. You just can't be disrespectful. So I would love to hear what you have to say, Ruby, in your perspective.
This is what Trump means by the art of the deal, but it doesn't look like there really is much of a deal in place at the moment. Since the start of the so-called ceasefire, 154 projectiles have been fired by Iran alone, and plenty more are fired by Israel. So we'll see what happens. I'll have another update for you soon. Follow along for more.
All right, so the ceasefire in the Middle East might be over. Iran just put out a statement saying, based off a couple different violations, we'll run through here in a second, a bilateral ceasefire for negotiations is unreasonable. Now, technically, I haven't seen anyone say, like, it's done, we're no longer going to abide by this, but Iran's parliament put out a statement a few minutes ago where they said there are 3 issues that have been.
And Diamond Gang, I watched this all the way up until it was time for me to come on. So it's still as is, okay? The Straits is closed and there's no ceasefire between Israel and Iran.
Violations already of this agreement. One, they say non-compliance with the first clause regarding the ceasefire in Lebanon. We know that fighting has continued in Lebanon. In fact, earlier today, Israel announced their largest wave of strikes so far against Hezbollah since this campaign began. So no doubt the fighting has continued there. There was a little back and forth where Iran said that Lebanon and Hezbollah was included in the cessation of hostilities. Israel and the United States said it wasn't. It looks like Pakistan, who navigated this process, said that
once Bibi did what he did, that's when we said it wasn't. But as of last night, they were included.
Lebanon was included. So take all of that for what it's worth. The second one, Iran said earlier today.
Yes, please and thank you. Please, can I get some more likes? I'm at 63 likes with over almost 250 people in the chat. Please hit the like. I don't care about a super chat, super sticker, or a cash app. Just a simple like will do. Thank you.
An Israeli drone was shot down over their airspace, so they're saying that is a violation.
The Straits is closed. When did they reopen? I watched this all the way up until I went live, and it was still closed.
Of the ceasefire. And then lastly, they say the denial of Iran's right to enrichment, which they say was already agreed upon by the United States in their 10-point plan. But President Trump has since said that that is never going to be acceptable. They say if that is the line, then these agreements have been, what do they say, openly violated before the negotiations even began. So we'll see. Technically, I guess the ceasefire is still in place. This is just Iran saying that it's not reasonable for it to continue. It's on edge, to say the least. Fighting has continued. The only country that has not continued attacks today is the United States. So we've seen some early reports of the UAE even launching attacks into Iran. We'll come back to that. Got to verify that. But Iran has attacked a number of countries across the Middle East. Israel attacked Iran after the ceasefire was in place late last night. We've seen Iran attack Israel. We've seen Israel go after Hezbollah. I mean, it's not much of a ceasefire at this point is maybe the right way to put it.
I can announce that the president is dispatching his negotiating team led by the vice president of
Kushner and Witkoff is on their way over there. However, so is, I believe, Vance, and I'm hoping they don't trust those two at all. So we're going to see how this works. They've stated this multiple times. They do not trust Kushner and Witkoff.
the United States, J.D. Vance, Special Envoy Witkoff, and Mr. Kushner to Islamabad for talks this weekend. The first round of those talks will take place on Saturday morning local time, and we know we look forward to those in-person meetings.
Breaking news as Caroline Leavitt is currently...
Now, I only got a piece of what she said, but he's given us the breakdown of what all she said.
Holding a press conference and is telling the media not to believe what Iran is putting out there on social media, that what Iran is telling the Trump administration is very different from what they are putting out there in their own social media posts, saying that the Strait of Hormuz is indeed open and saying traffic is moving through it. But Iran's saying they closed it and is not going to open it until Israel stops their strikes. So two very different things going on here. She even went on to say they exceeded and achieved all their military goals in Iran. However,
what military goals did they achieve? Again, they put Iran in a better position. They never had control of the straits, and now they do. They lifted the sanctions. So they're making money on top of money, charging $2 million for a ship to pass. This is insane.
However, all of the enriched uranium remains in Iran. Iran now controls the Strait of Hormuz. Before this war started, they did not have sole control over the strait. Now they have total control of it. They said they went into this to prevent the imminent threat, which was the nuclear threat. Well, we haven't seen any nuclear weapons.
But let me say this, right before I came on, Trump said there is a big possibility that troops will help them obtain that uranium. So again, we will be over there for a good while. If you think they're coming home, they're not. no time soon.
From Iran. Trump removed the sanctions on Iran, and the regime remains largely intact as to what it was before. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments.
So there's no changes. They have the uranium. Now they have a plus. They have control in the straits. And their regime is still intact. There was no regime change. If there was regime change, it was here in the U.S. So, yeah.
Share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
Today, there is not peace. In fact, the country I'm in, the UAE, says it continues to take incoming fire from Iran, ballistic missiles and drones. Kuwait reports the same. And the IRGC, the regime, is taking credit for allegedly attacking Israel and Saudi Arabia overnight. So it's...
Ruby, you mad he tacoed? Everybody mad he tacoed. I mean, I don't like him, but I feel some type of way he tacoed.
Seems like the American peace deal may include an agreement that the United States and Iran will stop attacking each other. But so far, there's no indication that Iran is going to stop launching missiles and drones at countries here in the Gulf. So one of the big questions is, when this final agreement is reached, whether, it's put in writing or...
They need to sit down with Bibi. They need to sit down with Israel. We went into this with Israel. Sit down with them. Get a hold of them.
It's verbally agreed upon between the United States and Iran. Will that include these Gulf countries, that have been taking incoming fire?
There seems to be a disagreement about whether Lebanon was included in this proposal. And the Speaker of the Parliament, who you're going to sit across from the table from in Islamabad, has just said that he thinks negotiations would be unreasonable while that war is ongoing. So would you ask Israel to hold off strikes to allow some space for these talks?
Well, first of all, I know there's been some conversations between the Israelis and the leadership of our country today. I haven't been involved in that because I've been busy doing stuff in Hungary. I'm actually supposed to get an update when I get on the plane. But let me say a couple things. First of all, I actually think, and there's a lot of bad faith negotiation and a lot of bad faith, propaganda going on. I think this comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians...
That is their excuse. Did you pay attention to what he said? Let me take it back a little bit, because after this is a second video. This is his excuse.
From in Islamabad has just said that he thinks negotiations would be unreasonable while that war is ongoing. So would you ask Israel to hold off strikes to allow some space for these talks?
Well, first of all, I know there's been some conversations between the Israelis and the leadership of our country today. I haven't been involved in that because I've been busy doing stuff in Hungary. I'm actually supposed to get an update when I get on the plane. But let me say a couple things. First of all, I actually think, and there's a lot of bad faith negotiation and a lot of bad faith propaganda going on. I think this comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon.
They said it did last night. This is crazy, the lies. They said it did last night. I promise you.
And it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case. What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused on Iran, and the ceasefire would be focused.
What we need is someone from Pakistan to stand up and say, the guy to put this together, because they brokered this deal. They brought the two together.
On America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states. Now, that said, the Israelis, as I understand it, again, I'm supposed to get a fuller report when I get on the plane, have actually offered to be, frankly, to check themselves a little bit in Lebanon because they want to make sure that our negotiation is successful. That's not because that is part of the ceasefire. I think that's the Israelis trying to set us up for success, and we'll, of course, see.
What? That's the Israelis trying to keep us involved. Diamond Gang, I got 500 people in the building. Could I get at least 100 likes? I'm at 76 likes. I don't care about a Cash App, Super Chat, Super Sticker. Just a like will do. Please and thank you.
How that unfolds in the next few days. But look, if Iran wants to let this negotiation fall apart in a conflict where they were getting hammered over Lebanon, which has nothing to do with them and which the United States never once said was part of the ceasefire, that's all.
That is a lie.
Ultimately their choice. We think that would be dumb, but that's their choice.
All right, Diamond Gang, we're going to get into the second video. Let me pull it up. I cannot believe he told that lie. They clearly plainly said that.
トランプ always chickens out. トランプ always chickens out.
Y'all didn't see that? They was messing with him all day. Let me go back.
Now, as
He
you can
said Trump always taco, always chicken out.
トランプ always chickens out. トランプ always chickens out.
Megyn Kelly turns on Trump, and I mean, she went crazy. Let's go, Diamond Gang.
Now, as you can imagine, that post did not go over well with the Iranians or with many Americans. I mean, I don't know about you, but I am sick of this shit. I'm sick of it. Can't he just behave like a normal human? I mean, honestly, like the president, 3D chess, shut up. Fucking shut up about that shit. You don't threaten to.
She crashed out, y'all. She was big on Trump.
Wipe out an entire civilization. We're talking about civilians just casually in a social media post. You know, like I am the first to try to understand Trump and his strategy and to not freak out over his weird social media posts and language that is loose and incendiary. Truly, I've lived with it for 10 plus years. I learned it the hard way when I was on the receiving end of it for 9 months. And truly, I think that was a gift to me in many ways because it helped me really come to understand what he does with his social media. But this is completely irresponsible and disgusting. This is wrong. It's wrong. He should not be doing it. I don't care that it's his negotiation tactic is to kill an entire country.
Diamond Gang, get me to 100. I need 11 more likes, please. And thank you.
Full of civilians, men, women, and children. An American president so that the Strait of Hormuz will be opened. It's just wrong. It's not hard to say it. It's not hard to recognize it. I wish he would stop doing this. Like, he can't negotiate without doing this. What does that say about him? What does that say about the
Diamond Gang, I didn't say it. Megan is saying it.
The position that our country is in right now in these negotiations? He's got to say this. He can't be a dignified, strong leader without threatening a bunch of war crimes. Like what is he, Genghis Khan? Like what is he trying to do? And why can't he do it with strength, threats? Sure, go for it. That don't diminish and demean the United States of America in this way.
That part, and that's all I was saying. He put a huge stain on the U.S., a disdain, a nasty taste in other countries' mouths when they say our name. For real.
Okay. All right. The Wall Street Journal.
It's absolutely essential that we ensure that the Israelis do not.
Now, listen, he said this yesterday. And a lot of people said this yesterday. We got to get a hold of Israel.
Sabotage this 2-week ceasefire or eventually the lasting peace that we're trying to achieve with the Iranians. We're on the.
I showed you a video of Iran basically saying that this was going to happen.
Cusp of being able to have the Strait of Hormuz reopened to hopefully start to get the world energy supply and commerce back online. The last thing we need is the Israelis doing what they have done in past negotiations and targeting the negotiators or taking a series of strikes that escalates the conflict. In order to ensure that we can restrain the Israelis, we actually.
That's our problem. We can't strain them. Trump is refusing to strain them. I don't know what the hell BB got on him. And I'm really starting to believe that Epstein files. But he got to get it together. I need 6 more likes, Diamond Gang.
We have to start removing features of the military support that we give to them. We have to take away enough from them that they simply cannot go on the offense, that they're using all their military capabilities that we provide for them and that they have organically for the defense of their country and not for offensive operations inside of Iran. It's absolutely critical that we take this step and don't just take Israel's word for it, that they agree to this ceasefire simply because they have a very...
So I'm telling you guys, that is a lie when they say that they were not a part of that deal. They were.
bad track record of adhering to these deals.
So a temporary ceasefire has been agreed, but what has the US actually achieved? In the short term, one of the...
Thank you, Diamond Gang. Shouts out to y'all. I'm at 103. I appreciate each and every one of you that hit the like.
Things it wanted, the reopening of that important shipping route, the Strait of Hormuz, has been agreed. But that was a benefit that existed before this war even started. Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz to have leverage after it came under attack by the US and Israel. The US is also claiming victory in this war, with Donald Trump and his Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth saying that they've achieved all their military...
I want someone to explain to me in the chat, what did we win? What did we win? Truly. Nothing.
Objectives, including severely depleting Iran's military capabilities. The US is also saying that it has achieved regime change, but if you speak to Iranians, they wouldn't agree that that's the case. They say the same regime is in power, the son of the former Ayatollah is now running the country, and if anything, they say it's more hardline. Iran and the US are now also going to be negotiating on things that Iran would like as well, things like lifting sanctions on Iran, an end to this conflict in Iran, but other conflicts in the region too, financial compensation for the damage that's been done during this war, and discussions on whether or not Iran can control the Strait of Hormuz going forward. Iran has agreed not to pursue a nuclear weapon too, but that was always its position publicly. It's not clear if the US and Iran will agree on all these points, so we could be back to the same place we were before the ceasefire started in 2 weeks.
And we are almost there.
Israeli military launched what it said were 100 airstrikes at multiple
100 strikes in 10 minutes, and she's in the middle of it.
locations across Lebanon within the span of 10 minutes. I am on the scene of one of them in central Beirut. These strikes, I must stress, they came without warning. They came at a moment of confusion across Lebanon as to whether the regional ceasefire applied here. We had, statements from the Pakistani Prime Minister. Pakistan had been key to the negotiations between the US and Iran, saying that it did apply. And then at 6 a.m. local time, we had the Israeli Prime Minister.
Bingo. She said Pakistan said that it did apply. So it did last night.
Saying that no, the ceasefire did not apply here in Lebanon, and the Israeli military has made that abundantly clear this afternoon. This is one of the most devastating days of the war in Lebanon. We are having mass casualty events declared at multiple hospitals. Authorities here are calling for doctors, nurses, with anyone with medical experience to go to the locations. This one here in central Beirut, the devastation is extraordinary. Okay, I apologize. Something has changed here on the location. The Lebanese army is once again asking me to move as they try to clear this site.
You got to give it to these reporters to be in the midst of that, to see the chaos, to risk their lives. Shouts out to them.
Multiple across Beirut, where the Israeli army has destroyed buildings, residential towers. We don't yet know the death toll here in Beirut, but it is sure to be.
It's just being revealed that Israel was not part of the ceasefire negotiations, and they're not happy about the terms at all, which is why today they carried out one of the most ruthless attacks on Lebanon to date, taking over 200 people's lives and injuring over 1,000. Mediators tell the Wall Street Journal the extent of the consultation was President Trump telling Netanyahu shortly before the ceasefire was announced. Israeli officials, of course, weren't happy with the terms, including the planned inclusion of Lebanon in the...
They got so mad that they struck them. They struck them hard.
agreement. So this morning, Netanyahu said the deal does not include Lebanon, contradicting an earlier statement by Pakistan. Now the ceasefire is on the verge of collapsing, with Iran's foreign minister saying
And we made up an excuse. We then backtracked and lied for Israel. This is insane.
Iran-U.S. ceasefire terms are clear and explicit. The U.S. must choose ceasefire or continued war via Israel. It cannot have both. Now it's been confirmed that 254 people lost their lives in these Israeli strikes today, and over 1,000 were wounded. To make things even worse, the Israeli military codenamed these attacks Operation Eternal Darkness, and they were described as the most intensive aerial assault on Lebanon to date. It's pretty obvious at this point in the war, there's only one country out of the United States, Israel, and Iran that doesn't want peace.
So despite there being a ceasefire, Israel has carried out a massive attack in Lebanon, 100 strikes in 10 minutes.
Diamond Gang, I've been saying this since I've started this. Bibi is a liar. He has dragged many countries into drama based off of lies.
In Beirut, people in Beirut say the entire city was shaking, at least 80 killed at this point, probably many more. Meanwhile, Israel and now Trump, in a phone call with a reporter, are saying that, in fact, even though Hezbollah has agreed to the ceasefire, Lebanon does not count and Israel is allowed to continue bombing Lebanon. However, Pakistan was the mediator that the United States asked to put out the statement that settled this for 2 weeks. Let me read from...
Pay attention, Diamond Gang. I got this clip specifically to prove to you guys that they are lying.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's statement from last night at 7:50 p.m. Eastern. With the greatest humility, I am pleased to announce that the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States of America, along with their allies, have agreed to an immediate ceasefire everywhere, including Lebanon and elsewhere, effective.
But this is what happens when you decide to engage in war with two different objectives and no plan B. You understand? This is what happens.
Immediately. This is from the Pakistanis, who the U.S. hired to do this and instructed them how to do it. We know that because they accidentally, in one of their previous tweets, left in obvious language that showed that the U.S. had actually sent them something to post earlier. So the U.S. claimed that Lebanon was included in this, and that...
Diamond Gang, we got popped in a lie. We got popped in a lie. Let me take it back. They had a statement from us. We made this statement. And then we backtracked and lied for Israel. And we doubled down on that lie. Let's go.
Everywhere, including Lebanon and elsewhere, effective immediately. This is from the Pakistanis, who the U.S. hired to do this and instructed them how to do it.
We instructed them how to do it. We put that statement out.
We know that because they accidentally, in one of their previous tweets, left in obvious language that showed that the U.S. had actually sent them something to post earlier. So the U.S. claimed that Lebanon was included in this and that the U.S. and its allies had agreed to this. Israel is now bombing Lebanon. Iran has responded by saying, okay, Strait of Hormuz, it's closed again. They let through 2 ships. Now it's closed again. Has there ever been a more duplicitous pair of governments than the United States and Israel? How do you make a deal with countries that say one thing on a Tuesday night and then go on to massacre people the next day, pretending as if they didn't say that thing?
Bingo, we got popped. That's it, that's all.
Benjamin Netanyahu stood before the state of Israel and will try to sell you the idea that the campaign in Iran was a success. That would be a complete lie. The army did an amazing job. The best air force in the world carried out everything it was asked to do and more. The people of Israel showed national resilience and determination. We inflicted heavy damage on Iran. Precisely because of that, the total failure stands out even more. What happened here is a diplomatic disaster on a scale I don't remember. I was prime minister. I was foreign minister. I don't recall such a diplomatic collapse. An American proposal for a ceasefire. If not, what was the alternative, in your view, in the situation that arose? Israel had no influence over the agreement that was signed last night between the United States and Iran, mediated by Pakistan.
You hear that? They're mad. They are mad. Let's go.
They will try to sell you the idea that we influenced things behind the scenes, that we were consulted, that there were late-night talks and secret meetings. Know this. Those are empty lies.
So what they're saying is they never agreed. They had no conversations, and this is lies. But again, Diamond Gang, this is what happened when you decide to enter a war with your allies with two different objectives going in without a plan B. A ceasefire with Iran will not include Hezbollah.
שבועיים בין ארצות הברית לבין איראן בתיאום מלא עם ישראל. לא, הם לא הפתיעו אותנו ברגע האחרון. עכשיו אני מבקש להדגיש.
He don't want this to stop with his mean, evil spirit itself. He wants this to go on.
זה איננו סיומה של המערכה. זו תחנה בדרך להשגת כל היעדים שלנו.
The ceasefire with Iran will not include Hezbollah.
היום הנחתנו על חיזבאללה את המכה הגדולה ביותר שהוא ספג מאז הביפרים. תקפנו 100 מטרות ב10 דקות במקומות שחיזבאללה היה בטוח שהם חסינים.
We said this last night, he was going to do this.
יש לנו עוד יעדים להשלים, ואנחנו נשיג אותם, או בהסכמה, או בחידוש הלחימה.
I have no idea how Trump is going to get away from this man, but it's going to be hella hard to do. I don't know what this man got over on Trump, but it is going to be hard for us to get away from.
כי אנחנו ערוכים לחזור ללחימה בכל רגע שידרש. האצבע על ההדק. איראן נכנסת למשא ומתן הזה כשהיא מוכה, כשהיא חלשה מאי פעם. היא התחייבה לפתוח את מצרי הורמוז לאחר...
In this war, they have done many things. They lied on us, said that we approved strikes that we didn't. They've lied on us.
שהיא ויתרה על כל התנאים המקדימים שהיא הציבה. היא ויתרה על ביטול הסנקציות, קבלת פיצויים, סיום סופי של המלחמה, וגם הפסקת אש בלבנון.
It is threatening the whole pause in fighting and long-term ceasefire, given the fact that this was part of Iran's 10-point plan that was supposedly agreed to by both parties, the United States and Iran. But given the fact that we have seen these strikes in Lebanon, the U.S. president now defending the ally of the United States, Israel.
Again, he backtracked and doubled down on his lie in front of the whole world.
Saying in an interview to PBS, a news station here in the United States, that because of Lebanon, it will need to be, or rather because of Hezbollah, it will need to get taken care of, is what he told the reporter. But he said Lebanon is not included in the deal. And when asked about why Israel continues to strike, he said, Donald Trump said that he sees this as a separate skirmish. That is the quote. So what is clear in all...
Separate, so separate that it's going to hurt again because the Straits is closed. So it's going to hurt everyone globally. Get a hold of your friend, Trump. That's what you need to do. Grow some balls and get a hold of your friend and cut Israel off and get our people home.
All of this is that the United States in no way is able to or has the desire to restrain its ally Israel. In fact, it's just the opposite. And this is a very narrow posture by the United States, essentially allowing or giving Israel the latitude to continue these operations in violation of what appears to be very clear terms on the part of the Iranians. So this is obviously putting into question the viability of discussions in Islamabad that are set to take place on Friday to finalize these details. And what it really does is threaten the ceasefire long term and really could hamper the success of the talks in Islamabad.
That part can hamper. This man will hamper
Islamabad altogether.
Iran has already closed the Strait of Hormuz again after Israel launched more attacks in Beirut, Lebanon. Now, President Trump warning Iran to immediately reopen the critical waterway to oil tankers. Go ahead, take a look at this video here because you can see the smoke billowing from the skyline of Beirut, Lebanon after multiple strikes by Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying the ceasefire with Iran does not apply to Lebanon. However, that contradicts what Pakistan is saying. Now, Pakistan brokered the 2-week ceasefire deal between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. Now, in
Diamond Gang, I want to know, who do you guys believe? If you believe Israel, put a 1 in the chat. If you believe Iran, put a 2 in the chat. Put a 2 in the chat if you believe them. I'm going to be honest. I believe what Iran is saying. I truly do.
retaliation, Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz, as I just said, and wants to start charging a toll to use the strait to deliver oil around the world. The 14-day ceasefire was reached less than 2 hours before President Trump's 8 o'clock deadline last night.
Okay, I got a lot of 2s. I got a couple of 1s. Okay. Let's see. It might be a little equal. No more 2s than 1s. Thanks, Diamond Gang, for participating.
The president went from threatening to annihilate an entire civilization to claiming victory and a peace deal with Iran. Now, Vice President J.D. Vance will be leading the U.S. negotiating team and will be traveling to Pakistan to begin talks as early as Friday. Democratic leaders, though, say the war has weakened American credibility and strengthened the Iranian regime.
I actually think, and there's a lot of bad faith negotiation and a lot of bad faith, propaganda.
Pay attention. I'm playing it again. He's getting ready to make up a nice excuse.
Going on. I think this comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case.
You guys seen it with your own 2 eyes. You guys seen it.
What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused on Iran and the ceasefire would be focused on America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states.
The strait is only partially open for 2 weeks, and it's on a conditional basis. That leverage is not gone. Trump handed to the Iranians leverage over the Strait of Hormuz.
And also,
I don't understand that. That was insane.
Today, NATO's Secretary General is at the White House today, meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, as well as President Trump.
Donald Trump is in the midst of bankrupting the United States. I think this is really just if you think about it, a fairly obvious data point in a consistent pattern across Trump and the way he deals with organizations. And it can be summarized in one word: bankruptcy. And bankruptcy is effectively you overestimate your strength and your ability to create value.
Which he has fouled many times, Diamond Gang. We all know this.
And you spend or allocate resources against that expectation, that arrogance, that belief that you will create more value or have more leverage than you actually have. And then after expending these resources, you find that your value and your leverage do not justify the resources spent, and you have to declare bankruptcy. He has done this over and over and over. And when you are spending $250 billion on munitions and bombs that result in a weakening of your economic power, and you explode the deficit and then go back and ask for another $1.5 trillion,
He's not getting it. I'm telling you right now, he's not going to get that.
$400 billion increase in the budget. Simply put, Donald Trump is in the midst, or now the 5th or 6th inning, of bankrupting the United States.
Well, I think, as both John and Peter pointed out, there are parts of the Trump coalition they presumed it after 24 would always be there. But if you were going to build a set of programmatic actions that would break them off the Trump coalition, start a war. with Iran, raised tariffs and destroyed a huge part of the farming and rural economy in this country. And all of those things have started to add up into a political chemistry that is not going to disappear tomorrow. This brief taco we had for 2 hours before the ceasefire broke today, a lot of people in the markets wanted it to succeed, but the rest of the country is very skeptical now that.
And I'm going to be paying attention to the markets tomorrow. I am, because I mean, it was great today for that brief period of time.
Trump has a plan. They also, a lot of his own voters realize that it's not going to be Barron Trump who goes to war. In fact, the Lincoln Project Advocacy put out an ad about this today. It's not going to be Barron Trump who goes to war. It's going to be their kids who go to war. It's going to be their kids who fight in some desert battlefield.
This right here. This right here.
In Iran, if Donald Trump doesn't stop doing what he's doing. So I think there's a great dysfunction inside the MAGA world right now, where their reflexive support of Trump, which they've really had inculcated in them over.
Diamond Gang, the Democrats is on top. They running the show. They getting in there.
For a decade, has finally been challenged with something they can't explain away. They can't spin it even to themselves, because you can't go to the gas pump and say, oh, the gas doesn't really cost $5 right now. It's $1.89. You can't say that to yourself, no matter how much of a supporter of the president you are. And I think Trump has, again, the fissures inside his coalition will not heal overnight. And this thing's going to go on and on. It's going to drag out a lot longer. And it's already dragged out into a point where the electoral damage is scaring the hell out of a lot of Republican elected officials.
And I think in reality that there is no ceasefire. I was watching coverage of this last night, flipping around, obviously watching your show, Jesse, and then perusing some other channels. And there were split screens between, White House announces ceasefire and missiles raining down on the Israelis. We knew that Israel would.
Listen, Diamond Gang, the Democrats, they flipped 2 seats. Okay. They flipped 2 seats in Florida. The largest swing yet in Georgia, special elections. So I'm telling y'all, brace yourselves. It's going to be a change. MAGA is out.
Was sending rockets back to Iran. We know what today has looked like in Lebanon with what the Israelis are doing there. It's one of the highest death toll days. So the ceasefire was a complete fiction. And what J.D. Vance is saying, and the White House now, Caroline Leavitt.
There was also a flip in Texas too, Louisiana. So yeah. Big win for the Dems.
That those 10 points were completely unacceptable. That's only because some of the biggest boosters of the administration came out and said, are you kidding me? Look at what you're agreeing to. Like Mark Levin, who has obviously been very close to this process. He took, what Fox and Friends had put up this morning and said this 10 points are a disaster. Last night, Larry Kudlow asked on social media, is this what we want? I mean, the deal, the 10 points that they sent in response to our 15 points allow them, as Dana said, to control the Strait of Hormuz and to decide what they charge. So that could be 2 million.
Which I told you guys, they are not supposed to do that. That is against international law. How do you give them something that's against the law? Help me, please. Anybody know? Make it make sense for me, because it's not.
Dollars per tanker, and they split that with the Omanis. Or then the FT reported this morning a proposal to do $1 for every barrel, and they want it to be paid in crypto, which would be untraceable. And we know that because Donald Trump loves to be paid in crypto.
This is insane. So he's helping them break the law. Oh, God.
No shutting down of the nuclear program. You can continue to enrich uranium. The leadership, not a problem. Can keep supporting those proxy forces. That's the Hezbollah problem. And then that sanctions would be lifted. We already took off $14 billion in sanctions. This would go even further. And Donald Trump would be the first president, certainly in recent memory, that didn't have economic sanctions on Iran.
Did y'all hear that? I'm just saying.
The linchpin story on this, and we have been tracing this particular plot line since the beginning, is what Jonathan Swan and Maggie Haberman reported yesterday in the excerpt of their book that comes out in a couple of months. And it's about a meeting on February 11th in the Situation Room, and Bibi Netanyahu was there. He was sitting at the table with our leadership, and he pitched them on this war. Donald Trump was interested.
Again, did y'all hear that? Bibi pitched him on this war. I've been telling you guys this since it started. He talked Trump into this.
Pete Hegseth was interested. Everybody else, Ratcliffe, farcical. Rubio, it's BS. General Kane, standard operating procedure for Israelis, they oversell. Susie Wiles, we can't be dragged into another Middle Eastern war. Israel pushed us to do this. It doesn't.
Bingo. Israel pushed us to do this. I've been saying this, but hey, you don't want to believe me. I had so many trolls, so many people talking so much mess to me about this, only for it to be real.
Mean that there weren't some good things that came out of it. But that first day, remember, and you guys said, I can't believe you're saying this, when Rubio came out and he said the truth to the gaggle of reporters that the imminent threat was not against us. It was something that was happening for Israel.
Did you guys hear that again? Let's go back. It wasn't for the U.S. It was for Israel. There were no threats. This is a war of choice. Let's go back. I love when I'm right, baby. Let's go.
Interested. Everybody else, Ratcliffe, farcical. Rubio, it's BS. General Kane, standard operating procedure for Israelis, they oversell. Susie Wiles, we can't be dragged into another Middle Eastern war. Israel pushed us to do this. It doesn't mean that there weren't some good things that came out of it. But that first day, remember, and you guys said, I can't believe you're saying this, when Rubio came out and he said the truth to the gaggle of reporters that the imminent threat was not against us. It was something that.
All right, let me stop. I see a Bubba. You said good choice too. What's so good about it? What did we get? What did we get? We lifted the sanctions. We gave them control of the straits. They still have their regime. And actually, they forced us to do a regime change when we did that purge, thanks to Hegseth. So they still have the uranium. So what was good about this choice? Because right now, they're in a better position. So I'm going to need you to answer that. Please. Please, Bubba, answer that. You may change my mind. You may, but I doubt it. Let's go, Diamond Gang. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like for your girl.
What was happening for Israel is the core piece of this. And now we're stuck in it. And Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are seen as being very pro-Israel. And that's why people want to negotiate with J.D. Vance instead of with them, because they think that they.
And again, of course, Kushner is pro-Israel because he grew up with Bibi. Bibi stayed at his house. Was good friends. Bibi knew him since he was a little boy. He's all mixed up and he's getting hella money from the Middle East right now.
They may possibly be talking to someone who isn't just representing Israeli interests.
Yeah, I think if you continued to read the. This is breaking news. The Speaker of Iran's parliament is calling a bilateral ceasefire or negotiations unreasonable, accusing the U.S. and Israel of violating the agreement. Vice President J.D. Vance is expected to be in Islamabad this weekend to start the direct talks.
What are you hearing about how and where this ceasefire stands?
Well, Antonia, let's be clear. The ceasefire proposal, this 2-week ceasefire proposal that was passed overnight, has well and truly collapsed. And that's collapsed for a number of reasons. Firstly, the Strait.
Listen, I have hope. I'm hoping and I'm thinking on a positive note they get there and we get some things resolved.
Of Hormuz. Yes, we may have seen an uptick of some vessels passing through. There isn't any official data yet suggesting that, but that's what Caroline Levitt was suggesting today in that briefing. And whilst that was a good sign, we saw the markets react to that positively, oil prices coming down as a result. It seems tonight that Iran is reblocking that Strait of Hormuz, taking back the control of it, not that they let it go, but essentially now not allowing vessels to pass through. And this has all happened because the fighting has very much remained today. Yesterday, when this ceasefire agreement, or overnight when this ceasefire agreement was passed, the Pakistani Prime Minister had clearly stated that it meant that fighting would end right across this region. So that meant inside Iran, that meant Iran's response into Israel and the Gulf countries, but also the fighting inside of Lebanon. And yet today, in 5.5, almost 6 weeks of this conflict happening, Lebanon has seen one of its deadliest days. Israel has.
That was excessive today. 10 targets in less than 10 minutes. This was the hardest hit since day one. So it was on some revenge, angry, bitter type of time with Bibi.
Targeted Lebanon in huge amounts today. In fact, the IDF specifically put out in 10 minutes, they fired and struck more than 100 targets inside of Lebanon. And we've just seen some of the images coming out of the likes of Beirut and South Lebanon as well. And the destruction.
He wanted the world to know we are not a part of this at all. We don't agree with anything.
Has been immense throughout the day today and particularly into this evening. And we are now getting reports as well that Iran has retaliated with strikes inside of Israel, targeting the city of Tel Aviv.
In just one day, President Trump went from threatening to end Iranian civilization to touting a 2-week ceasefire. But tonight...
Now, Diamond Gang, after this, we're going to look at some of the public reaction, and then I'll take comments in the chat. And then if somebody want to come up, you can.
What's really changed? Sirens and smoke marked yet another day of missiles flying throughout the region. And Iranian state media is saying tonight that the Strait of Hormuz is closed. We have a team of correspondents on this tonight from the White House to the Middle East. And we begin with senior foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer in Tel Aviv. Liz, good evening.
Diamond Gang, I watched this all the way up until it was time for me to come on. I don't know what's happening now, but this is the state that we were in about 2 hours ago.
Good evening, Tony. Everybody knew this ceasefire was a fragile thing, but it is 24 hours after it was announced, or a little less, in real danger of unraveling.
Israel launched a huge offensive today against its old enemy, the Iranian-backed militia Hezbollah in Lebanon. The military said it hit 100 targets in a single minute across the countryside and in the heart of Beirut. This security camera video shows panicked people fleeing from the explosion.
Diamond Gang, did you see that? Can you imagine something like that happening?
254 people were killed, said the Lebanese Civil Defense Forces, and more than 1,100 were injured. Pakistan, which brokered the ceasefire, originally said it did cover the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. But the White House denied that.
I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't.
Iran furiously disagreed. The foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, posted that if America didn't rein Israel in, the ceasefire was off. Tonight, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the country, sounding triumphant.
He's the source of all of this. All of this. Trump better grow some balls.
We have achieved tremendous things, he said. But he didn't call off the attacks against Hezbollah. And in fact, Israel's military said they would continue. In reaction, Iran's Revolutionary Guards say they've now closed the Straits of Hormuz, which leaves 800 vessels and millions of barrels of oil stuck in the Persian Gulf.
And to make things even more volatile, today there have been various missile and drone attacks on Iran and countries across the Gulf. Who's responsible, Tony? Nobody's saying.
Elizabeth Palmer in Tel Aviv. Liz, thank you very much.
Diamond Gang, just know that this is going to take months to resolve.
Now that this 2-week ceasefire is in place, the natural question is what comes next? Well, the U.S. and the Iranians will begin negotiating on a longer-term deal. Reaching a long-term deal will not be easy, though. Iran is not known for quick negotiations, and the two sides
Here's the thing. Why should they be? They don't trust us.
Are really far apart. Case in point, President Trump said this morning that Iran is no longer going to be enriching uranium and that Iranians and the U.S. are going to work together.
You see how the agreement quickly changed? It quickly changed.
to dig up and remove enriched uranium that is buried underground. The Iranians have not publicly signed off on any of that, though. In fact, their 10-point plan that is serving as the basis for negotiations actually enshrines their right to enrich uranium. And they also want things like reparations for damage that was done to their country in this war. They want U.S. forces to leave the region, things that this White House.
We won't be leaving anytime soon. I can guarantee you that. We're going to be over there for months.
Is unlikely to go for. Now, there's a good chance that hammering all of this out takes longer than 2 weeks. And so the question is,
that is so unrealistic. That 2 weeks is unrealistic.
What happens if they don't have a deal at the end of this 2-week ceasefire? Do they just extend the ceasefire, or do they return to fighting? That's one of the big unknowns right now.
We have very serious news right now. According to the Associated Press, at least 182 people have been killed in central Beirut in Lebanon following the most intense day of strikes by Israel on the Lebanese capital to date. This is a striking image taken by Reuters. As you can see, this is a building that was struck by Israeli forces, a building that is decimated, and in the center is a woman literally clinging on for dear life, as you can see.
Diamond Gang, you see that woman clinging? Right up there in that corner, that is insane.
Very little room for movement. Any closer, she would have been in a part of a building that has collapsed. This is a very serious situation. The United States of America claims that Lebanon was never part of the ceasefire negotiations between the United States and Iran, and that it was always only the United States and Iran, had nothing to do with Israel and Lebanon. And yet Israel is ramping up attacks on Lebanon today. The United States is essentially green lighting it because they say
that part. There's no way we should be green lighting anything.
That this has nothing to do with the ongoing ceasefire in Iran. I'll have more updates for you soon. As always, follow along for all the news you need to know about.
What I'm about to show you is why we cannot lose sight of the daily acts of corruption from this Trump.
This is about the, about the markets, Diamond Gang. Let's go.
Administration. Gavin Newsom is 100% right about this. While we're paying billions more at the gas pump, Trump's allies are cashing in. Corrupt acts happening around every major announcement he makes. Someone knew about the ceasefire about to happen before any diplomats.
Every time Trump announces something, this is what happens. Let's go.
Spoke to each other. Someone that had $51 million to open an oil short position just hours before the ceasefire. This same person has done this 16 times in a row. 16. Perfect win streak.
And it's so crazy because it's somebody in that room with Trump that's doing this every time.
Making $170 million in profit. Either someone in the White House is leaking classified information and allowing these insider trades to happen, or the actual announcements are being shaped around the trade. Someone that knows it's a sure thing, because $51 million is not a small bet. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe. We need to get to the bottom of this. We need to investigate and find out who this is. I'll see you back here for the 411.
Why do you think we're at war with?
All right, now we're going to get into reactions from people about this war that's going on, and then I'll take comments, Diamond Gang. I appreciate you guys. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Pretty soon, I will not be going vertical and horizontal. I will be straight going horizontal. So if you rock with me, you will subscribe to the channel.
Iran.
I have no idea why we're at war with Iran.
Global politics. I know oil's involved.
For no good reason. It's absolutely absurd.
I think it's very unclear because it keeps changing.
Do you see any justification for military action in Iran?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think to stop the process of the completion of the weapons of mass destruction, yeah, I would say military force is justified. Do you think that the administration's goals have been clearly outlined to the American people?
In no way, shape, or form have they been clearly outlined to the American people.
Absolutely not. Well, with that administration, you never really know what's going on anyways.
What do you think victory looks like for the United States in this?
I think victory looks like the United States somehow finding a way to get out of this.
That part, get out of this now.
That remains to be seen. We have no idea what's going to happen.
The only win I can see for the United States would be if we agreed peacefully with Iran to pull out.
I'm not sure how I would define a win. I just don't think it's what we're doing now is not winning.
How do you think Trump's handled it?
Oh, that's something I have to sit down and think over.
About 6 in 10 Americans
She was like, boy, if you don't get out of here.
disapprove of U.S. military action in Iran, according to a Pew Research survey. So I'm asking people what they think.
I don't agree with the war in Iran, right? Because we have enough problems.
I'm all for it. I think Trump is doing the right thing.
Trump should focus on what's going on here in the States.
I know from the beginning of Trump's administration, he was like, oh, I don't want a war. There's no wars. I want to be peaceful. And then he came out with this war in Iran. And I feel like that was really controversial on his part. Something he went back on his word.
I think it's necessary. I think I hope we have a good exit strategy and soldiers
That part, we have no exit strategy at all. Like what?
don't get killed, but I think we need to prevent them from having nuclear weapons.
It's a terrible mistake. No, we had a treaty with them, which may not have been perfect. No treaty is. But we should have kept with that and built on that rather than this crazy invasion. Or not, it's not an invasion yet, but it's a horrible mistake.
How do you think Trump has handled it?
He's not handling it.
Well, this is insane. They're cracking up. Let's go.
I think Trump has done what he thinks is right.
Mixed. I think that I give him credit for having the guts to go in and do something to the bombing last June as well as this. At the same time, I worry a bit that how strong of a plan we have in place and an exit strategy, because you don't want it to go on forever, and you certainly don't want.
Listen, Diamond Gang, anytime you hear regime change, these are considered forever wars. You cannot go into a country and expect for them to change in within matters of weeks. You know, that doesn't happen. It don't happen when you apply to basic general white.
Military personnel to get hurt.
I think he's handled it brilliantly.
I feel like he hasn't handled it in a presidential way.
Do you think that military force is necessary?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because negotiations haven't worked.
How do you think it's affected prices in the U.S. and around the world?
It already put up my gas bill hugely when I hired a car last week.
Prices have gone up for oil. Stock market has gone down. I think it's temporary, though.
How long do you think this will go on? How do you think it will end?
I think it's going to end in our favor. I think he's going to make sure it ends in our favor. We have very good military.
I don't see an end in sight at the moment. That's what's very sad.
That's hard to tell. Nobody could tell how long the Civil War was going to go for. No one could tell how long the Vietnam War was going to go. So this could end quickly, or it could end years from now.
That part, years from now.
Who knows?
This entire ceasefire is subject to what President Trump called the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, which tonight Iran says is very much closed. Senior White House correspondent Weijia Zhang joins us now with a reaction from the North Lawn of the White House. Weijia, good evening.
Oh, Tony, tonight the White House disputes Iranian media reports that the strait is closed and said there was an uptick in traffic today. But they do acknowledge the ceasefire is fragile. Still, Vice President Vance says he is optimistic heading into in-person peace talks. On Saturday, Vance and top negotiators.
I'm optimistic and I'm praying that they come up with something.
Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner will participate in discussions in Islamabad, Pakistan, where it was a huge mediator in the ceasefire agreement. And even if the Lebanon issue is resolved, there are still hurdles for reaching a long-term agreement. President Trump is adamant that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. A key material for making one is highly enriched uranium. Iran still has about 1,000 pounds of it buried buried underneath after the U.S. bombed key nuclear facilities last year. Trump posted there will be no enrichment of uranium, but a top Iranian official said that would be a non-starter. There are also questions about who will control.
Now, let me say this right before I came on Diamond Gang. Trump said he is thinking that we will help them retrieve that uranium. So military presence will be over there for a while. I'm just letting you guys know.
Control the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has proposed charging a toll for oil tankers to get through, but the White House says Iran must allow free passage. Today, Trump also hosted the Secretary General of NATO here, and the press secretary said they would be talking about the possibility of the U.S. withdrawing from the defense alliance. Tony?
Weijia Zhang at the White House.
Bingo. We are done. We're done. We're done. All right, I'm going to go to some of the comments in the chat, and then I'm going to close out. Diamond Gang, I'm taking off tomorrow. I've been live every day for about almost, 2 weeks? Maybe missing a day here or there. If something happens drastically, I will go live about this. But like I said, I am going to stop the dual lives, and pretty soon I will be going horizontal only. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel. I am hoping to get enough members to start my members only live soon. So, all right, let's go to the comments. Man, gas price at the pump are not the bigger picture. The U.S. imports manufactured goods, yes, that total 14% of its GDP. Everything that's made from plastic to tech is going to be more expensive. You are so right. You said, welcome to the New World Order. All this war is about to bring in the digital dollar. Johnny Blackwell, you are so right. It's coming really soon, real soon. Mike Brown, everything you said in this chat has been misinformation. Gas is up 2 cents today. You can look at free websites on the internet and see that nobody's going through the straits. Yes, you are right about that, Edward. Nobody. Listen, I love this late night crowd. I was going live anywhere between 8:30, 9:30, and one day I came over here. No, I was running late. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to see what this new crowd is about. And I love it. I do. I really do. I prefer this time over the earlier time. So, but Diamond Gang, it's almost 1 a.m. Hey, X, how are you? Somebody said MAGA, us. We got Trump supporters. Like I said, you can say whatever you want. All opinions are respected. You just can't be disrespectful. We could agree to disagree, and you are entitled to your opinion. And I will read your opinion, just as long as it's respectful. So, I want this to be a space where people can say what they want freely and feel safe and not be attacked. But if you disrespect someone in my chat or myself, my mods will get you out of here. I think as adults, we should be able to have conversations without the insults. So, all right, I'm going to read a couple more comments. The Obama agreement about uranium was complied with by Iran. They didn't start refusing investigations and enriching uranium until Trump ripped it up. What? He ripped it up? My, the disrespect. That man say anything and he do anything. Somebody said, I'm paying $5 a gallon for gas right now. It'll be $6 within a month. How much is everyone paying for gas this week? Yeah. Listen, I'm advising everyone, please spend wisely, because this is something that's going to take months to resolve. Somebody said, good, tear up the bad Obama-Iran deal. Come on, man. You cannot, please don't put cuss words in my chat. Just don't do it. Hold on. Now I gotta take it out. And my mods, let me tell you something. The other day, I got over 70,000 views. And I love my mods dearly, but they can't take care of everything. I'm asking people just to be respectful. That's it. That's all. Misspell curse words. If you feel a way, say what you got to say, but just misspell the curse words. And don't be disrespectful to nobody. Nobody in my chat that's supporting me right now. Because I wouldn't allow them to disrespect you. Somebody said Trump has no idea how to end this. I can't say that word, but yeah. Somebody said bull crap. That wasn't bad though, James. I don't like when people drop F-bombs and stuff. I don't like that. It is bad because American people do not understand anything that is outside America. Say no to Israel. Trump is having a hard time doing that. I don't know what this man got on him. I don't. But it's something. So, but Diamond Gang, I want to say shouts out to everybody. New subscribers, welcome. Subscribers, thanks for showing up and showing out for your girl. Please subscribe to the channel. Right, it is called freedom of speech. Just don't be disrespectful. Oh, you're talking about, y'all might be going back and forth with comments because I see the one above says Trump is disrespecting the whole planet. Yeah, he is. He is. You said he's not going to say no. I know. This is sad. Wishful thinking. That's what I believe too, James. I believe that. Jeffrey Epstein is what BB has on Trump. I truly believe that. I do. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist type of person. I don't get into all of that. But on this one, I believe that. This is going to end with American lives lost for probably nothing. That part. That right there. Hold on. Do I see something that I got to get out of here? Yeah, you got to go. Don't you ever, and you're probably white, don't you ever come in my chat and use the N-word in here. You're banned. That's one thing. It's 2026. I don't play that shit. Don't bring that racist shit over here. All right, Diamond Gang. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. It's late. Thank you, everybody that participated. Everybody that hit the like. I appreciate you guys. Have a good night, Diamond Gang.
It's 100 degrees. Sip on me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling his tea, spilling and sipping his tea, spilling and sipping his tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degrees, shining bright, set the stage. Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this sipping his tea, spilling it, sipping his tea, spilling his tea, sipping his tea, sipping his tea, sipping his tea, spilling it, sipping his tea.